Greetings, welcome to the Historical Footprints, a platform we share the stories of the hymns and those of our church fathers. Today's hymn is hymn number 189 in the Christ in Song hymnals. We have no abiding city, drawing inspiration from Hebrews chapter 13 and verse number 14. For here have we no continuing city, but we seek one to come. Drawing inspiration from this text, we find a hymn that has gone down in history to be one hymn that offers solace and comfort for weary pilgrims. In most cases, the hymn itself is sung during funeral occasions. But listen, child of God, this is a hymn that poses a question to all the pilgrims on earth. That you see, you may look north, you may look south, you may look west, you may look east. We do not have an abiding city. And so what do you do when you discover that the world cannot accommodate your longing desires? What should you do when you discover that the world cannot provide you with a city where love, joy, peace, kindness, meekness, and all the traits of the Spirit can be blended in together, where they can be accommodated together? What do you do? How do you respond to the trying moments of this life? How should you respond when death strikes? How should you respond when you face the valley experience? Now, who was Thomas Kelly? Thomas Kelly was the son of a judge. He was born on 13th July 1769. The record says that he, from an early age, learned the principles of law. He learned the principles of order. He learned the principles of defending society with the laws of humanity. But the record goes on and says that he graduated with a Bachelor of Arts. That was in 1789. Alright, the record goes on and it says that this man attended the Trinity College. Now, one thing that is interesting is that he was studying to become a lawyer. He was studying to become a defender of justice. But the record says that God had other intentions for his life. Allow me just to pause a bit and say this to you, that you see, child of God, before you make a decision for what you want to do in this life, it will be wise of you to ask God what he wants you to do. There is no room for competition on earth. There is no need of competing with your neighbor on earth. And so before you actually desire the office of your friend, be concerned with what God desires for your life. 1792, record says, a man of considerable personal wealth he was. He was engaged in earnest evangelical preaching of a kind, to the extent where the bishop disapproved what he was preaching. Now listen, child of God, God had a desire for this man to bring salvation to a longing heart. And so this man, the record says that this man was preaching that grace abounds even for the chief of sinners. This man was preaching that, you see, child of God, God doesn't care what you have done. It doesn't matter where you have been. It doesn't matter where your weary steps have taken you. What matters is that God is willing to provide grace for you. God is willing to transform your life. Listen, the record says that Kelly was refused permission to preach in the city pulpits of Dublin. Child of God, even though that didn't settle well with Kelly, the record says that even though Kelly wasn't liked, even though Kelly wasn't accepted by the Church of Ireland, Kelly decided to continue bringing the glad tidings of the Master. Even though Kelly wasn't accepted by his colleagues, the record says that Kelly continued preaching the gospel. Let me tell you something, child of God. When one door closes for you, there is always another door that opens. Listen, child of God, when life throws stones at you, build an altar with the stones that people throw at you. And so the record says that Kelly went highways and byways preaching the message of the Master. Kelly was bringing the message of the saving grace to a weary pilgrim in the streets of Dublin. Allow me just to bring the words that he writes in the hymn. He says, "We have no abiding city here. Sad truth were this to be our home, but let this thought our spirits cheer. We seek a city yet to come." Connecting this with the second verse, which he goes on to say, "We have no abiding city here. We seek a city out of sight." And so this man says, the city that we are looking forward to, it is a city that is out of sight. You and I cannot describe the city with our own human language, because eye has not seen, nor ear hath not heard what God prepares for them that love him. And so this man is saying the name of the city is Zion, because God is dwelling there. This man is reminding us that, you see, the sad truth here is that we are surrounded with circumstances that tend to, inflict us with pain. But irrespective of that which we encounter today, the city Zion is awaiting us. This man says there is a sweet abode of peace and love where pilgrims are freed from toil and they are blessed. This man is basically saying along the pilgrim journey, you will meet challenges. Along the pilgrim journey, you will meet chains. But he is saying sometimes God allows you to be in those chains, to be in those problems, because he wants to advantage your fellow pilgrim in this life. As a matter of fact, God can use your disadvantage to advantage a Christian in this life. It says, "Hush my soul, do not repine." Yours is not to waver, but yours is to hold on. Yours is not to cry, yours is to emerge victorious. Yours is not to complain, yours is look for the blessed hope. Yours is to always do the will of God. Yours is to read the time that God fixes for you. Yours is to wait upon the Lord, because eternity's years shall tell your faithfulness here on earth. And so when you sing this hymn, "We have no abiding city," always remember that you may suffer loss for Christ, but you shall not lose anything by Christ.